How does a startup founder in this space create a mode for himself or herself that is not going to be killed by Claude?
Claude, OpenAI, as in ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, they're not compliance green lighted. And the room to play here is to build that compliance friendly solution or a compliance friendly usage that sits on top of these LLM tools.
When you see the pitches, what is that one thing that you are looking in a startup pitch that's building AI for life sciences today? What is that one thing that you would look more aggressively, and if that's not there, then that's not the company you're investing?
I think it depends where it's a series. Which series are we talking about?
Let's say a seed.
So for a series, say this would very much be two elements for me. One would be the ability to have a product market fit and demonstrate that through numbers. And the second would be the team that they have behind it. So those would be the two big elements.
What team generally works best? So let's say there is this guy who's fresh out of an IIT, and who has some amazing tech capabilities. You're already smiling, so I understand. And then there is this guy who has spent 10 years working with big pharma, at, let's say, an IQVIA or a company like that, and who understands that space well, who has the relationships well. So, what is the kind of team that you would sort of put your thoughts behind on the seats?
For a Series C, if those are the two people in the team, then I would very much like to see the person who's experienced, who has the network, to be in the CEO sort of or CCO sort of a role, or at least a role which is nearer that domain. And the person who comes with a technical background to be leading or being in the technical team. And of course, like now, we are fortunate enough to have people who might have both. Like for instance, somebody like me, who comes from a very specific industry experience, has over the period gained relevant network as well, built relevant network. So that kind of an experience in the advisory group would be very, very, influential in making that. Because this gives you an understanding that this is a well-rounded team where the skills are in the right place. People know what they have to focus on. And again, having worked on across VCs, across companies, I think what I feel like when you're starting up a company, when in the pre-seed or the Series A stage, you need a very horizontal layer. So you need smart people, you need people who can continuously they can be the office managers, they can be your customer engagement. But when you're at Series C, you need a bit more of that vertical line of T as well.
A bit more structure there.
You need both the people who can do across, but that layer is now much more senior, and you have the individual vertical layer, individual in the teams, which need to be assessed and which is contributing to your competence of the team.
If AI really evolves over the next decade, as everyone says, and as we were talking before the episodes about that, that magic explosion, if that magic explosion really happens, are there roles inside pharma that should be slightly nervous about the future?
Why pharma? I feel like the entry-level roles are nervous across the board.
Across the board, yeah.
Especially in, I think, the analyst, the associate. My team is very lean today. And the reason it works is because a lot of our research, analytical work is not done by a human being. And that in itself is because of AI and LLM modules. So I think
so the impact has already started.
It's already there. You hear so many people being made redundant across all service, across the big four, across the top three. So, even the advisory space, this is already happening. And it's unfortunate because I was discussing with a friend the other day that today we are able to sit on top of these LLM models because we actually did do the grunge work at some point in time. Now the level people, they are not given the opportunity to do a grunge work. So how will they ever get to a place where they are actually able to sit on top and use these tools with an experience and maturity that we have?
How do they know which prompt to write?
Exactly. And how do they know that what is hypnosis and what is actually true from the model?
But isn't that too unfair for the younger generation now?
I don't know. I mean, I find this word unfair a bit difficult to answer because what is what? I mean, I don't think life in general is fair. I think life is unfair to begin with, and what I think is unfortunate is they were not warned. I think people who are just coming out of colleges did not get a warning. Whereas the people who are now in school are already aware of this and they will train accordingly and they will train, adapting this. So this is the generation which is actually being thrown in the deep end. So that's definitely not right for them. But then I feel every generation has its own share of deep end. So I think, like as a millennial, we had our own deep end. This generation, this is their deep end. Like my parents' generation, they never had internet. So for them, learning the whole use of smartphone, etc., I think it's a bit. I agree with the sentiment here that these entry-level jobs are difficult. It's there are so many redundancies at this particular area and this particular layer.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I mean, having worked with human beings at entry-level roles versus having worked with these Claudes and Geminis and Copilots, you already know which one you prefer. Like it's faster, there is no drama. It's like it's the quality of output is so much higher than what you were getting. I mean, this it's unfortunate. Yes, exactly. It's hassle-free.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wouldn't call it unfair. I think it's unfortunate.